Is that clear? Why? Because you have to follow the Imam. Okay? Then, in a silent prayer, nor the prostration of anyone except the Imam. If he prostrates, his prayer is invalid. It is offensive for him to recite a verse containing a prostration, and it is offensive for him to listen to any recitation other than the Imam's. But some scholars say that your ruku' stands for the sujood of prostration. So some say if the last verse you read is a verse of prostration, and you go into your ruku', that this replaces what? The sujood tilawa that you need to do. Is that clear? So, and this is why some would say it's recommended, Hisham, when you lead prayer, during Taraweeh, for example, that you try to calculate it in such a way that you stop at a verse of prostration right before your ruku', you do your ruku', and then you get back up. The reason why is to avoid any complications or people not knowing it and so much more. So that would be then recommended. So before you lead the prayer, you know where you're going to stop, you know what you're going to read. The timing of prostration. The scholars said one's prostration should occur immediately after reading or hearing the verse containing the prostration. If he delays and the separation is not long, he may still prostrate. If the span is too long, then he has missed the prostration altogether and does not need to make up according to the well-known and sound opinion, just as one does not make up the prayer of the eclipse. Some of our Shafi'i companions said that there is a weak opinion that one should make it up, as one would make up sunnah prayers that precede or follow the obligatory prayers, such as the sunnah of morning, noon, and other prayers. The Hanafi says you need to make it up even until you die, so you need to hold on to it. So if you didn't prostrate for one verse and then again and again, last time somebody came to me and said I still have to prostrate about 400 times. 400 times for sujood tilawa. No. Ritual impurity. If the reciter of the listener is in a state of ritual impurity when the verse of prostration is recited and he makes ritual impurity soon thereafter, then he should then prostrate. If he delays ablution to the point that the separation in time becomes long, he does not prostrate, which is the correct and preferred opinion of which the majority of scholars are certain. Another opinion, however, holds that he should still prostrate, and it is the choice of Imam al-Baghawi, one of our Shafi'i companions. This is a qiyas to one responding to the call of prayer after finishing his prayer that he was engaged in while the adhan was called. Custom urf is considered for determining the length of time for the separation being short or long, according to the preferred opinion, and Allah knows best. Multiple prostrations. If one reads some or all the verses of prostration in a single sitting, he prostrates for each one of them. There is no disagreement on this, but if you repeat the same verse in one sitting, you only need to prostrate once. No? If he repeats a single verse of prostration in several sittings, he prostrates for each occurrence. There is no disagreement on this. If he repeats a single verse of prostration in one sitting, he examines the following. First, if he did not prostrate for the first occurrence, a single prostration suffices him for them all. Second, if he prostrated for the first occurrence, there are three opinions. First, he should prostrate for each occurrence, since the cause is renewed after fulfilling the ruling of the first, which is the soundest opinion. Second, the first prostration suffices him for them all. It is the opinion of Ibn Surayj and it is the opinion of Abu Hanifa. The author of Al-Udda, one of our Shafi companions, said that religious verdicts accords with this. This is the preference of Shaykh Nasir al-Maqdisi, the ascetic, and one of our Shafi companions. Third, if the separation between occurrences is long, he prostrates for each. Otherwise, the first prostration suffices for them all. When he repeats a single verse of prostration during prayer in one rak'ah, it is qiyas to repeating it in a single sitting and thus has the same three opinions. If he repeats it during two rak'ahs, it is like of two sittings, so he repeats this prostration without any disagreement. While riding. If one recites a verse of prostration while riding an animal or a car during a journey, he prostrates by way of gesture. This is our opinion and the opinion of Malik, Abu Hanifa, Abu Yusuf, Muhammad, Ahmad, Zufar, Dawood and others. Some of Abu Hanifa's companions said that he does not prostrate. The opinion of the majority is correct. As for someone riding an animal but not traveling, it is not permissible for him to prostrate by way of gesture. Reading a verse of prostration before Al-Fatiha. If one recites a verse of prostration during prayer before reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, he prostrates. This is different than he had recited while bowing or prostrating, since it is not permissible to recite in those postures because standing in prayer is the place of recitation. If one recited a verse of prostration, descended to prostrate and doubted that he had read Al-Fatiha, he then prostrates for the recitation, returns to standing and recites Al-Fatiha, since prostration for recitation should not be delayed. All of this is fiqh, isn't it? So read your Hanafi book. You have a question? Yes.
What was the more gesture before? When Showing it farming, I guess.
Say it again.
What would the gesture be?
The gesture. Well, we don't have something as picking something up. Now, or rather, having something in our hand and going towards it, right? So you don't bring something to your head, you bring your head to something. So if you prefer, you can go down, put your head on something, or otherwise, you just do an imam. An imam meaning lowering your what? Lowering your face. And without touching anything. Okay. Reading a verse of prostration in Persian. Why in Persian? Abu Hanifa came, and his ancestors were from Persia, but that's not the reason. They say because the Persian language is the closest to the Arabic language, and that many meanings which you can only say in Arabic can also be found in Persian, but not in any other language. So they say that the reason why is because Persian is the closest to the meanings, to reflecting the intended meanings, which are intended in the Arabic language. Wallahu alam. If one recites a verse of prostration in Persian, it is our opinion that he do not prostrate. If the same, it is the same if he were to explicate a verse of prostration. Abu Hanifa, however, said that one does prostrate. See this? But they say that Abu Hanifa rahimahullah came back on this opinion later on. Well, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But the reason why, as I said, the scholars give is because the Persian language is the closest to the Arabic language when it comes down to reflecting the meaning of the Quran. So Allahu A'lam. Listeners prostrating with the reciter. One listening to the recitation may prostrate with the reciter, but he is not bound to the reciter and should not intend to be led by him. And so he may rise from the prostration before the reciter does. And so when someone recites a verse of prostration, you're listening to him, he prostrates, you prostrate. He's not an imam. Meaning you can lift your head before him, because it's not imama. You prostrate because of his recitation, but he's not an imam in your sujood tilawa. The ruling concerning an imam reciting a verse of prostration. In our madhab, it is not offensive for the imam to read a verse of prostration, whether the prayer is silent or audible. One prostrates whenever he recites a verse of prostration. Malik said that it's categorically offensive. Abu Hanifa said that it's offensive in the silent but not in the audible. Prostration at the times when prayer is prohibited. We have times where it's prohibited to pray. So what are we now going to do when we read an ayah, a verse? According to their madhab, in our madhab, the prostration for Quranic recitation is not offensive during the times in which prayer itself is prohibited. This is the opinion of Sha'bi, said Sha'bi, Al-Hasan al-Basri, Salim ibn Abdullah, Al-Qasim, Ata, Ikrima, Abu Hanifa, the people of juristic opinion, and Malik, according to one of the two accounts. A group of scholars, though, disliked it. They include Abdullah ibn Umar, Sa'id ibn Musayyib, Malik, and the other account, Ishaq ibn Rahaway, and Abu Thawr. Bowing instead of prostrating. Bowing ruku' does not take the place of prostration for Quranic recitation when it is optional. This is our opinion and the opinion of the majority of the scholars of the early generations. Abu Hanifa said that the bowing may take its place. The evidence of the majority, however, is that prostration of Quranic recitation is analogous to prostration in the prayer, which cannot be replaced by bowing. Someone incapable of prostrating may gesture just as he gestures for prostrating prayer. So this is what we said, Hashim, right? That bow, ruku' instead of prostration. The description of the prostration. Note that someone prostrating for Quranic recitation is in either two states, outside or inside prayer, or during it. If it is outside of prayer and one wants to prostrate, he does the following. He makes intention for the prostration of recitation, says the opening Allahu Akbar, raising his hands parallel to his shoulders, just as he does for the opening Allahu Akbar of any prayer. He then says a second Allahu Akbar as he moves towards the prostration, but does not raise his hands during it. Saying Allahu Akbar a second time is recommended and is not a condition for validity, just as the saying of Allahu Akbar for prostration during the prayer. After Shafi'i companions have three opinions concerning the opening Allahu Akbar. 1. It's an integral part, rukun, and the prostration is not valid without it, according to the most obvious opinion, which is the opinion of the majority. 2. It is recommended, and if one omits it, the prostration would still be valid, and this is the opinion of Sheikh Muhammad al-Juwayni. 3. It is not even recommended. Standing or sitting. If the one intending to make the prostration of recitation is standing and he says the opening Allahu Akbar while standing and then says Allahu Akbar again for his actual prostration while descending therein. If one is sitting, a group of our Shafi'i companions have said that it's desirable for him to stand and say the opening Allahu Akbar while standing and then descend down to the prostration just as if he were standing to begin with. The evidence for this is that this practice is analogous to the opening Allahu Akbar and prostration during prayer. Our Imams who inequivocally hold this include Shaykh Abu Muhammad Juwayn al-Qadi Hussein and his companions, the author of it. Tatimma and Tahdhib, and the Imam and masterfully skillful Abu al-Qasim al-Rifa'i, Imam al-Haramain al-Juwayni, related it from his father Shaykh Abu Muhammad and then rejecting it, saying, I do not see any source or mention for this. Imam al-Haramain's statement is obvious, since nothing concerning this is established from the Prophet ﷺ, nor from any of the exemplary righteous forebearers. Also, the majority of our Shafi'i's companions did not address the topic, and Allah knows best. Now we come back to a little less fiqhi things.